Very warm welcome back to Shanghai. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, or a very late night if you're still watching in Europe. Thanks for joining us for the DAC 2017. Game 1 already in the bag, of course, in Group B. We're now going to get into our second game of the day, and the draft is almost upon us. Before we do that, though, let's introduce you to our panel, because we have had a change-up. Shiva, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
I saw you watching the first game out there. You seem pretty excited by it all.
Yeah, I mean, you beat 2-0. If you look at the results, very boring. First game, I enjoyed the first game.
First game was fun, wasn't it?
Fun.
Yeah, but a stomp second game. And Kevin's back with us once more. This one could be a little bit different, but I almost feel like all of these games, you never quite know where it's going early on in a tournament like this. IG Liquid, same kind of thing. They're both usually quite solid when they come to group stages. We normally don't see anything too fancy. Are we expecting the same thing again?
Yeah, there could be some good change-ups. I like the fact that we're going from a within-the-scene match that we just saw, predicted things, they know each other, to a out-of-the-scene, a Western team versus an Eastern team. So we'll see maybe some different picks, maybe some different play styles, and we'll see how they match up. I think Liquid's definitely the favored going in, but could go both ways.
All right, so take a look at IG's team lineup for you. It is a bit of an all-star matchup, this one. Plenty of names that you'll be familiar with if you're a Dota 2 fan, of course. I guess the man that sticks out the most there is Burning. Has been the subject of a transfer, of course, and going into this particular team. Q probably maybe the other one that stands out, Shiva?
Definitely. I think mostly for me, OP. We've seen him at when IG was playing at Dota Pit, they were actually looking very good. I thought at first, going in, maybe, it's Burning +4. That's how I thought about them anyway.
Everyone did, didn't they?
And then they actually showed up. They took a game off of OG. They came fourth in the end. I think they did really well, and OP was the one for me that stood out most in the mid lane.
It's interesting as well. I love the fact that he's called Openg, by the way. So he actually is using his name.
Yes.
So he is actually genuinely OP.
He's not showing up.
He's genuinely OP.
Yes.
Interesting that they've become IG's second team, Kevin, in some ways.
Yeah.
Wasn't supposed to be how it was.
Not necessarily. They ended up playing their sister team in the Kiev qualifier finals, and they ended up losing. IGV went in first, and then IG ended up winning through the lower bracket. So they're maybe comparable in terms of strength, but definitely the less recognizable names on theirs. Yeah.
How much do you think it helps to have both teams here, though, Shiva? Because I saw them all in the room. We were back watching the other game. They're all in the room. Literally, the entire room was like Invictus Gaming players and team members.
I mean, we don't know how much they practice together, they scrim together, they talk about Dota together, but you can imagine that is a huge advantage if they do collaborate on strategies and everything.
It's like a 10-man team. That's so cool. Like they'll still try as hard as they can when they end up matching up against each other during the group, but the fact that they can give tips to every single team that's been played through the groups, that's a huge advantage. And there's no way they're going to hold back info either, because ultimately, if they do truly trust each other as sister squads, then they just both want to get as far as they can. So it's definitely a cool advantage.
It's a little bit of a shame that they're both in the same group, I think.
Well, no.
They can share information, but at the same time, only two teams are going to make it through.
But they won't want to, though, will they? That's the problem. I like the fact they're in the same group, because maybe they won't talk to each other too much, because they'll be like, no, we can't.
We want to be the ones.
We want to be the top
two.
two. Because top two is tough.
Yeah, and important.
You're top 6 in the whole tournament if you win the group or finish second in the group. So huge things. Their opponents are Team Liquid, of course. So let's take a look at Team Liquid. Of course, another team that are full of superstars and men that you will no doubt have recognised. In particular, of course, Miracle, the man that transferred over last year into that mid area for Team Liquid. Fantastic player, and obviously the standout player. But just it's a well-rounded roster, Kevin, of players that have been there, they've done it, they've seen it all. And they've just gelled together superbly well. Yeah, and I think the best story about Liquid is just that they were at such a high peak for such a long time, and then after TI, they all of a sudden slumped. They didn't make Boston Major, but lately with GH joining them, they're looking like the same great top team in the world again. So I'm excited to see them get back up into full force and be a Tier 1 team. Yeah, Chiva, do you think it's taken Miracle a little bit of adjustment time in that team?
Definitely.
Because he was playing with Kuroki just after TI, wasn't he? There was just those two playing. I remember they're playing a lot of pubs together, and it seemed like, oh, okay, that seems to be a thing that will happen. And then it did happen, and we weren't that surprised by it, but it doesn't seem to have felt like it did when he was doing so well last year.
It took a while, I think, for the team to get around it, and Miracle obviously was used to having 4 players play around him and basically help him.
All for him, wasn't it?
It was all for him, and then it took a while for them to adjust and to find out how to get most of everybody, how to get a bit of farm to everybody, because that's basically farm distribution is what it comes down to, and I think they found their groove. But they found their groove mostly against Western teams. And they did play, obviously, against VGJ at Star Ladder, and they beat them, and quite handily, but VGJ was the only team to take off games against Liquid. So I'm thinking maybe the Chinese, you know, they got something against Liquid that they can use, and I think this will be a very interesting match to see how Team Liquid will match up against, well, IG in this case, but the Chinese scene maybe in general a little bit as well.
Yep, into the draft we go. Magnus first pick for Invictus Gaming. Also, we saw that in the previous game from Newbie. And Liquid are going to reply back with a fairly typical Liquid pickup in the form of Rubik and Axe.
They're smiling too. That's about the most I've ever seen Crow look excited. That was basically his laughing face.
That was his I'm super excited face.
Exactly. Another big advantage they have is just things like IO bans in the first round. That's a huge detriment in terms of strategy stuff. If they have to throw away supports like that. So, and even banning out Miracle with Invoker in the first round, that's incredible. That just doesn't even feel like it's March 2017 right now.
Yeah. No, we've stepped back in time.
We have. I really like the opening of Axe and Rubik. It's not conventional at all. But basically securing GH's hero at the start and having the option still to go for Kuroki Rubik because he was the original Rubik player on Liquid. I feel like that's very open with the Axe picked up as well. I like it.
Yeah, it's reliable lockdown. It covers all of your bases. You can battle Berserker's Call through like Lifestealer Rage, through Jug Spin. Covers those bases. Allows Matoma Man still to farm really fast. It's kind of, in some ways, you can think of it like Centaur, really, which is weird because Centaur is definitely the Axe alternative for a long time. But farm fast, pressure your lanes, have some good 1v1 matchups. Just always good in team fights.
I mean, IG looks pretty scary as well. Let's be real. Magnus, Lifestealer.
That's a good combo. Definitely a little better than the Jug one sometimes.
Yeah.
And definitely better in lane, especially just lifesteal from Axe. But there's some weaknesses to him sometimes, and he did get, I believe, a 3 damage base nerf.
Like
Doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually does
like
change. It does change win percentages a lot in pubs. Maybe it won't matter as much in pros, but pro games that is.
And the Ricky ban, obviously, now this has been very popular in China.
Yeah, it's been picked a little bit.
It's a fairly safe ban, I would guess.
It's for me, it's a little bit like the Monkey King. It's being played as a 4 just a disruptive hero all round, and having that disruptive hero in the laning stage is just something that, well, if you're Team Liquid, you don't want to deal with that. So, same reason I believe as Monkey King removed from the pool.
It really intercepts kinds of ganks and stuff. If Axe jumps in and calls, and you throw a smoke cloud on top of that, you can't do the chop. Or sometimes you can't follow up with other nukes. It kind of depends on what cores they have. It doesn't really look like the best counter against Rubik Axe, but it definitely can open up a lot of like core issues for your team.
TA ban.
It's obviously a Lifestealer Bomb as well. It's the other big one, actually.
And the vision game overall. And
so
leading your resource of support.
Yeah, so where do Liquid want to go, Kevin, with this draft? Well, all right, then we'll get half the answer.
All right, I was hoping we'd see some new picks. This year's been buffed like so many patches in a row. His Fire Spirit's at level 15. It ends up doing like, it's actually a stupid amount. It's like 2,000 magic damage with 4 Fire Spirits by the time you're 15. It's insane how much it does. Obviously, attack speed reduction.
I feel like I've got in a time machine, and we're back at Epicenter 12 months ago, when Phoenix was all the rage, and then just got nerfed into oblivion.
Yeah, he still has some big weaknesses. He's weak in the lane. All of his spells have really long cooldowns, but if you can get through the early mid game and get to like that level 15 area, your damage output is disgustingly huge. So Sunray's still good, Supernova's still good. There's a lot of great things about the hero still, but compared to other supports,
it's not quite Sunray good hero level though that it was a year ago when it was pretty absurd.
Yeah, I mean that was partially like Void as well. There was like so many good combos that you could put with Phoenix, but I think the Phoenix pick here could be really good. It's kind of iffy against Lifestealer, but it can also be good.
Seen a lot more Lina in the recent patches, obviously as well.
Mostly in the Chinese scene, even Wings picked it earlier today as well. I have yet to be convinced about Lina.
Really, why?
I just feel like it's great, lockdown, long range, and then she's just done. I don't know.
Doesn't do anything else.
I just feel like she falls off.
She can farm really fast is one of her benefits, but yeah, she can definitely have some issues. If Axe initiates on her, she's probably going to get killed. Her armor's weak, so she has to buy like HP item and magic resistance and maybe a setup if she can get it. So it's like you have all these different options that you can head towards, but I mean if she's in the backline, she's good.
Yeah, do you find that a little bit strange that they picked that into the Axe?
No, I don't think so necessarily, because as long as she's not the one that gets initiated on, it's fine. And it's a great RP follow-up in that it's an AoE stun plus Dragon Slice. It could be a support, could be a mid. Don't know if I'd want to do it support on Lina, but if that's like core Lina, you also have to keep in mind her Fiery Soul passive. She's going to have a lot of range just naturally. She's going to have a ton of attack speed. It's a great Phoenix counter, either resisting the attack speed reduction from the Fire Spirits or just killing the egg. So I think it's an okay pick here. I kind of like it.
All right, so we got a Medusa by Team Liquid. I mean, in terms of synergy, this is something that Kuroki used to do in Secret. They had a support axe, and he basically called people so they would be stoned by Medusa and got them in the right angle.
Because you can make them look towards you.
You can make them look towards Medusa. So they, in that game specifically, they ran axe as a support. I doubt that they're going to do that this game, but it is some interesting synergy that you can get. Yeah.
It's basically the solution against Magnus RP, in that if you get RP'd, normally you're just screwed. But if Medusa's there, at least they have to worry about getting disabled. And obviously, if Lifestealer uses Rage, he can still be disabled by Medusa. It's actually a really good picker, and you can cover the Phoenix Egg with it, just Medusa ulti. It's all about where they're looking, and Axe and Rubik can kind of deal with that. So a lot of AoE disables, really good team fight from Liquid will hopefully shut down what Magnus is bringing.
Positioning is going to be absolute key for both teams then in the fights. That's going to be massive. Lifestealer is considered a little bit of the Nova killer by the for the Phoenix. So if IG is on the ball with that, that's one thing that they won't have to worry about. But
they still have Dusa ulti to deal with it, and they've got Berserker's Call from Axe. So it's like they actually do have really good solutions. I think this might have been a planned strat with the Lifestealer. Let Lifestealer Magnus through. They're obviously going to take it, and then they're thinking, okay, we're going to grab Axe Rubik. It's going to look normal, and all of a sudden we'll pull out the Phoenix Medusa and have these perfect solutions. So I think this is just a draft plan here for Liquid against IG.
And it seemed like third pick, IG were reacting, didn't it?
Yeah.
With the Lina.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe the combo thing with Magnus Lifestealer, because they didn't know what to do. They're like, Axe Rubik, what is that? It doesn't necessarily do anything specifically. They just kind of pick something, and now they're sitting with Alina thinking, is this really the pick we want here? And against Dusa, it's definitely not. Magic nukes aren't that great against the hero. They would really love to have like a Jug or something like that. It would be much better.
Yeah. And the Tinker?
Pretty good. Obviously, blind against Medusa is great because she can't attack, but it's mostly delay the game, I suppose. It's another combo with Magnus as well. They're just going to deal a ton of nuke damage, pretty much. So I think the Tinker's okay. They don't know what's going to lane against yet. It's maybe the one iffy part about their draft here. But if Liquid can grab a good I guess it's Phoenix Rubik supports, so they're looking for their carry. Something to lane against, I guess, do some mid versus Tinker, so they just need a hard carry now. Something that can be good against Lifestealer. Jug's been banned. Yeah, I was going to say Jug.
Yeah.
It seems like IG, maybe with the Earth Spirit a little bit less so, but they have all prepared to dig into their base and just, wait for that Magnus magical RP so that they can follow up and kill everybody and then push down mid. Although their pushing power is kind of lacking.
On IGs?
On IG side?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But at the very least, they can delay the game a long time. And Liquid needed something to just like overpower them into a win, because if IG could tank that much and just delay the game with like Tinker and who's the other, the Lifestealer getting too much farm, it would just get out of hand against the Solo Dusa. So I think it was a good pick.
The Elk on the last pick.
I like Liquid.
You like Liquid?
Yeah, I think that they have this plan. I mean, opening already with the Rubik and Egg is like, this is what we're going to do. We know that none of this is going to get countered or picked or banned by the other team because, this is their plan and it's unconventional, but definitely could work.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Liquid draft better. I think you can definitely work here.
All right, okay. We'll hear more from Shiva and from Kevin, of course, after this first game, when we'll catch up on exactly what Liquid have done. Have they got a great plan? Let's find out as we'd have a commentary team of OD Pixel and Gods.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. Indeed, we're getting ourselves ready for this series. It's going to be incredibly exciting. IG going up against Liquid. We've heard what the panels had to say about Liquid Shot, but I got to be honest, Gods. Looking at some of the heroes that IG have, it's pretty terrifying. A lot of Chinese teams will first ban out that Tinker against IG because OP is a bit of a mastermind on it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the key thing to look at with IG's strategy. They've got their signature heroes. OP on Tinker, they've got Baboka on Earth Spirit. He actually renamed himself as Borax. Yeah, to like kind of basically be like, kind of like worships Jarex is what he's done and brought to like OG and previously Liquid. And he's been like nicknamed that by the Chinese fans because he plays like the best Earth Spirit in China. So he's got his Earth Spirit as a fifth pick. OP's got his Tinker. Tinker very good against Medusa. But like the panel was saying, it feels like Liquid gave them these heroes knowing that they're going to pick them. Like, all right, they're going to get Magnus and Lifestealer. Burning's most played carry is the Lifestealer. He's grabbing that every game he can, even if it's not with a slider. So very clearly Liquid think they can beat these heroes.
Absolutely. And I think just going back to the fact that because IG are on such kind of strong hero player combinations, if Liquid beat them here, I feel IG's going to be pretty scared going into game 2 because they have, as you said, they've been allowed to get what it feels like they wanted to get into this game 1 with. And Liquid coming into this one with answers. The finishing pick as well, the Alchemist. I mean, we know Miracle. He's a bit of a madman on whatever he gets his hands on. But Alchemist, if he gets out of control at the start, it's going to be very hard for IG to control it, isn't it? Especially when they're running Lina. Do you think, was the plan always to kind of have this Lina in the support position? Or do you think with IG they ever thought about putting him in the mid lane? Did anything from the lineup of Liquid cause them to move it away from mid?
I imagine the Medusa going mid is just going to be the better matchup, but you can't really run the He's not going to farm as well against the Tinker as he is in the safe lane. More likely than just running him safe lane, they're looking to use the Phoenix to stack up a ton of camps here as much as possible, so we'll see Phoenix probably just going out whenever possible, setting up. Same for the Rubik, just while you're roaming, whenever you're at a stack timing, make sure you create those stacks for Alchemist, because he's maybe going to be splitting the XP a bit more, and he wants to be able to fall back into that jungle once he hits level 6, level 7, has some points in Acid with the Grieval's Greed, gets an armlet up. That's when he can really start to power farm.
Yeah, and Phoenix, of course. Recent buff, 7.04. It's getting better and better for the bird after quite a long period of time where we're kind of back, last year's Epicenter, where we were seeing kind of the pinnacle of Phoenix, and then it got knocked down really hard, but the last update, extra GPM on one of the talents and such, isn't it? And we mentioned the DPS with the spirits. It can be pretty scary.
Plus 65 fire. It's double damage on fire spirits when you get that level 15. The GPM is also really nice. You may consider it against like the Magic Immune Lifestealer since he can just rage off the fire spirits. Either one.
Oh yeah, it's one of the two, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they're both amazing is the thing. It's like you get to this level 15, you're like, holy crap, I've got two of like the best level 15 talents. Which do you get? But to start things off, we'll see what the plan's going to be as far as Liquid dealing with OP's Tinker. It seems like they want to give some assistance to Matu. GH is at least helping that early game last hits. And I think the big thing to point out is that Magnus not contesting the off lane. So Alchemist will have an uncontested free farm lane. Magnus looking to jungle farm it up. Yeah,
mid lane we saw Baboka just try for a bit of an attempt on some Matumba Man, but it was a little off the mark there with the rolling boulder. And yeah, not really a surprise to see really GH coming towards that mid lane, because as we said, you've got to keep your eyes out on OP's Tinker. We were checking before, and I think he had over 70% win rate with IG. This is almost certainly got to be one of the heaviest focuses for Liquid in the earlier stages of the game, because if this Tinker gets ahead and is able to kind of stall the game, it could get pretty nasty. But as we keep saying, if the game goes on, the Alchemist and the Medusa are going to look at you and say, all right, we'll just keep farming these lanes, you keep pushing in, and they'll just continue to get bigger and bigger as it scales on.
Yeah, I think buckle down. This looks like a bit of a fight greed with greed kind of approach from IG. Burning's queued up his first time minus. He almost always has been going for the minus on his safe lane Lifestealer, but not even opting for boots because, hey, there's no one in his lane. Neither team is going off lane. Both off laners are jungling. Mind Control didn't go Iron Talon from the start. He went for the poor man shield, but we'll see roams coming out from GH and Baboka, but neither of these players pose major kill threats. They're more looking just to create some space and get scouting information. This is like, they're just kind of matching up against each other, trying to hopefully like get in, find the junglers, contest them. If you find a low HP jungler, you might find a kill, but realistically, all three cores plus like junglers are just playing super greedy. They're looking to create stacks right now. No team is really making big moves to actually threaten for kills. Like Rubik's just gone top lane to leech some XP at this point with boots, so we're not going to be seeing too much action early on.
Yeah, and in terms of when the action does actually kick off, I mean, IG with their lineup, I mean, trying to make something happen with the RP, it feels like it's going to be hard this game because there's just so many ways that Liquid can counteract an initiation. As we said, we're going to have Axe with the Blink Cool. You've got a Supernova, a Stone Gaze to warrior out. There's so many ways that Liquid can stop IG trying to fight. And it feels like in a game where you've got the better farmers essentially on Liquid, that's going to be an issue for IG.
Yeah, it can be. They're going to have to, when they initiate, burst down that target really quickly before a Stone Gaze can come in, before like a Sunray Supernova type saves can come in. That's where the Infest Bomb's really nice because typically, I mean, you think you're Slider Lifestealer. This, you don't have the Slider with the amp damage, but you've got a Magnus RP, you've maybe got an Earth Spirit with a Stun Silence. You roll in with an Infest Bomb. That first target will die very quickly. There's not many heroes that can easily survive it. outside of perhaps Medusa with like maybe you Manta off for silence and then you get a Stone Gaze off. But I think IG have the right idea where they can just play the farming game. If Lifestealer manages to scale pretty well, they are going to have to eventually address Alchemist and how fast he's farming, but they're still going to hit their Magnus Blink, their Lifestealer Midas Armlet timing before Alchemist has like a Radiance Manta style Boots of Travel, for example.
Yeah, for sure. And regarding the farm at the moment, of course, as we can see on the last hits, both safe laners pretty much free farm entirely on the same level as it comes to last hits. Mid lane, a bit of an edge for the Tinker. OP having the better time, around double that of Matu at the moment, even though there was that help given out at the start. Matuma Man still certainly struggling in this matchup that for the most part has been 1v1 and understandable, of course, with that laser, making it hard for Matu to get all the CS, even with the snake spam.
Yeah. Interesting that Mind Control's not having the Iron Talon. Looks like he's going to go for the Tranquil Boot. So we may see him actually go to lane soon. The fact he hasn't got the Iron Talon suggests he wants to get some early jungle levels and farm, but then ultimately transition into having some laning presence, perhaps looking for that early smoke rotation with someone like a Rubik. But for now, it will just be jungling it up, getting as much as he can. Greed is the name of the game. Miracle in the safe lane, working on his armlet, has the Soul Ring. Doesn't look like there's too many stacks because the jungle's being so actively used by the Axe, which is one of maybe the downsides for Liquid, is they don't have that super high power farming Alchemist who can fall back to the jungle with his ancient, well, not just ancient stacks, but neutral stacks as well. So
I mean, is there a chance, is it for sure going to be a power farming Alchemist, or is there a chance because he has sort of Solar Crest, Shadowblade sneak in, and then because you've got this Medusa playing more of the farm game? Or do you think that's unlikely?
That was the way he used to play it a lot with OG when we saw like Alchemist strats all the time out of Miracle and even No-Tail. They'd go for that kind of Solar Crest, Sanjin Yasha build even. I find it unlikely. I haven't seen an Alchemist played like that in a long, long time. And I feel the hero doesn't excel when played like that. It seems like his natural fit is to play the greedier style, but I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely viable, and it's the better build to have against a Lifesteal. Having a Solar Crest is an item that Lifesteal struggles to deal with because he doesn't want to go MKB typically.
Bottom lane trying to make a bit of a go there. XXS just attempting to get the slow off, but even with that little slow, it's not going to be a chance for the supports to close right, and they will still hang around though.
They've got both supports down here though.
Yeah, they really want to try and make something happen. Miracle, of course, yet to hit level 6. He's very close, but he isn't going to have that Chemical Rage regen to help him out if IG find an opening. As Q and Baboka staying in the tree lines. So Miracle very aware that something's going on.
Yeah, he saw the Radiant Creeps were the ones doing that little side pull, so he did see them there, but he doesn't know the Earth Spirit's here.
Yeah, he needs backup, and even if that came through, it's not going to be quick enough as Miracle surrounded, and IG will find themselves first blood there.
At mid lane though.
See if they can get something in return here, closing the gap onto OP, moving in with the caller. TP will come through. The spins, they're not going to be there. Can they actually keep OP alive? That's the question now. It's just Q. There's no sort of defensive play that you can offer to survive, help the Tinker survive. So Liquid get themselves the kill in return. Matu to pick it up. And Q forced back. So very good for Liquid there. We talked about already how Matuma Man was slightly struggling in the farm department head-to-head against the Tinker, but that's going to open the lane up a bit. But of course, IG do get that first blood on Miracle.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of gold going their way for the first blood, but Miracle, you can see kind of on the net worth, hasn't been hampered too much in terms of where he's at. You'd expect him to be top of the chart. He's an Alchemist in a safe lane free farm situation, but ultimately kills on the Tinker, slowing down that Boots of Travel timing, to me, currently is maybe the bigger objective to take right now. So I think Liquid come out slightly better for that trade, or at least somewhat even. And we'll see what the next moves are going to be. Burning with Midas Boots. He's going to probably be letting his team know, like, okay, perhaps I could go for an Infest gank soon. I can push out my lane and then TP somewhere if there's like a guaranteed kill. But alternatively, he's got the free farm lane. So he doesn't want to rotate too early, but he also does. He can't just sit here farming all day long. He is going to get out farmed by an Alchemist. So it's kind of that, where's that critical point where you make that rotation? For now, his team don't need him.
Bottom lane, they're going to look for Miracle. He does have the armlet. Chemical Rage is still on cooldown though. So IG, they've managed to take him down a second time on the safe lane of Liquid. Very nicely done as well. A few seconds, and if he had that rage, maybe he would have had a bit of a better chance with some Miracle level armlet toggling, but it's not going to happen. Yeah. But as we're seeing, IG putting a lot of focus down there, and absolutely worth it as well. Getting that Magnus involved is going to help him on his item progression. If they can get that blink and such, a good timing, and especially before some of these key members of Liquid get their 6, like obviously at the moment Croaky still at level 3. If you're able to make things happen before such things as the Supernova's a threat, that's going to be fantastic for this Lifestealer Magnus lineup.
Yeah, IG seem to have recognized that Liquid are just leaving this Alchemist alone down bottom for a lot of the game, and Kuro, very under-leveled support. His spells have long cooldowns. They also require, this hero requires a lot of levels for those spells to really start becoming powerful threats in the early game, and Kuro has a dive, but doesn't really have a good way out of this gank if he gets hit by a boulder smash.
We get TP across coming from a Timberman, but immediately held back, by Baboka. Kuroki, he's trying to hide it out, but they have found him, and with this dive already used, he'll go down. IG certainly having the time of their lives down on that bottom lane, and top lane as well, really, as you're mentioning. Burning continues to have safe lane. We're seeing Miracle receiving pressure, Burning a lot less so. Mind Control is up here with GH, but between the two of them, incredibly hard to catch a lockdown Burning. He's going to be A-OK against just the two of these heroes.
Yeah, he's aware the Medusa TP'd bottom, so there's no real threat to his life. When your opposing team's two main cores that are doing well and farming are both carriers, like Alchemist, Medusa, neither of which ganks you, it's a very free game as a lifestealer. You can push like he was farming behind the tower, he was playing super aggressive.
In the jungle here, nice setup as they come in with the kickback, looking to bring down Matumba. He's out of mana. Does have the backup though from Kuroki, and Baboka and Q won't quite have enough damage to bring him down.
Kind of approaching that point where supports by themselves can't kill the core heroes. Both Alchemist and Medusa are very tanky, so they want to get those kills. They need the Lifestealer and Fest, they need a Tinker rotation, and Tinker, until he has the boots of travel, is unlikely to be able to make that kind of a move.
Top lane, again, Mind Control, and GH just trying to shove the lane in. But Burning, he is not bothered by that one bit at all. He's working towards his armlet.
And this start is going incredibly well for IG. They've managed to find a few key kills on Alchemist to slow down his timing. He's not out farming all the carries like Alchemist normally does with free farm, so I think all in all this is a dream start. And they're going to hit this Lifestealer armlet timing at a similar time to Magnus's Blink.
And yeah, talking about Blinks, Mind Control's just picked us up at the side shot. So they've got to make something happen here. If they can bring down Burning, oh, he messes up! Oh! He forgot to press Blink.
I don't think he has that. I mean, Baboka's in the perfect spot to counter-initiate, so I'm not sure that's a kill regardless.
I mean, maybe, but hey.
It doesn't look pretty, but I think that was for the best.
Okay.
He may not know it. It may take watching the replay for him to realize that's good that he messed up, but it worked out.
He was just testing his Q button. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, oh no, he cancelled it that time. Mind Control, is he going to be...
Baboka's
oh, yeah, pause.
It
looks like there's an issue with the Blink. I think his Blink key is broken. Hey, look, that's what it looks like to me, gods. Yeah. He can't seem to blink.